You. California dreaming about
So good evening, everyone. Yeah, who all have joined us. So today we have with us Coach Lemon Taylor. He's a basketball talent evaluator and CEO of Get Me Recruited. So for those who don't know about Get Me Recruited, it is a NCAA compliant scouting service in the US. So Coach Lemon Taylor helps college students and families through college basketball recruiting process. And he has trained or recruited some players which you all know, like Dennis Smith Jr., Bam Adebayo, Kobe White, and many more. So today he will be giving us the knowledge about the college recruitment process in the US, and your all doubts will be clear today. So if you have any questions, you can just type in the inbox to me or Abhinav, and we'll just state it with Coach Lamont, and we'll just clear it with us. So let us begin. So, Coach, can you just give me or give us a brief about your recruitment process? Like, how does your Get Me Recruited process work?
Okay. Well, before I get there, I want to talk a little bit about who I am and what to expect over these next 2 days, today and tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
We're going to talk about who I am and why I'm qualified to even give you any knowledge whatsoever. We're going to talk about the recruitment process and the odds that you face. We're going to talk
Yes, sir.
about the do's and don'ts, things you do as far as, how to conduct yourself on social media, the things that can keep you from getting a scholarship. And then, of
Yes, sir.
course, we're going to answer as many of your questions. About me, as he told you a minute ago, I'm Lamont Taylor. I'm the CEO and president of Get Me Recruited, and also the CEO of ChangingMyGame.com. What I do and who I am is what I want you to know now. First of all, I came from military. I did, 6 years in the military, and while in the military, I began coaching. This was in 1990. I started coaching,
Hey.
so yeah, I'm a little older. In the military, I started coaching kids of captains and so forth, and that's how I got into the coaching world. Um, After several years there and I got out of the military, I started my own AAU program, Amateur Athletic Union program here in the U.S. And I had a player that was my nephew that lived with me that I raised. Um, he went through the recruiting process. So I saw him go from a kid that nobody knows to we went to a showcase where it's almost like he blew up overnight. And during that, we were recruited by all the major colleges. I sat in the office of Coach K, and we talked about my nephew coming to Duke and so forth. And again, during that time, I learned exactly how the recruitment process goes and how ugly it can be and how political it can be. So there's a lot about the recruiting process you really need to understand coming in. It would be great if everything was just basketball talent, but it's not. It's based on a lot of other things. So
Okay.
2012, 2011, Quincy committed to Baylor University. He did 1 year at Baylor, was a one and done, and went on to the NBA. He was drafted in 2012. So again, I saw the process of being a little middle school kid that nobody know, all the way to a one and done and drafted in the NBA. So
Yes, sir.
after doing that, I realized that a lot of people like myself at that time did not understand the recruitment process. Um,
Okay.
so I wanted to educate people on it. So I started Getting Recruited in 2012.
Okay.
The purpose was to educate parents and players like yourself on
Yes, sir.
not just the recruitment process, but the best way to get recruited, the best way to prevent yourself from being out of the running of a recruitment. And also, you know, you're going to be competing against. So the name is Get Me Recruited because we were originally a recruiting platform. Now, let me tell you the difference between what we are now, which is a scouting platform.
Yes,
A
sir.
recruiting platform, we allow parents and players that we kind of hold their hand and walk them through the process all the way from the time they join us until they get to their goal of college. Well, now
Yes,
we're a scouting service. So with a scouting service, the colleges, they contact us and they want to know exactly who should they talk to, who should they go see.
okay.
And of course, let's think about it this way. Colleges can't be everywhere, right? They can't see
Yes, sir.
everybody. They don't know everybody. So they have to rely
Yes, sir.
on someone to give them the, you know, the knowledge of who to see. So that's the role that we play. Now,
So basically, sir, you are the consultant to the families as well as for the colleges.
correct. That's absolutely correct. We do both, right?
Yes, sir.
Today, I wanted today to be more about these kids getting the knowledge, the information,
Yes, sir.
the fact, the stats, the real things behind
Yes, sir.
the recruitment process. Because believe it or not, I have to educate people here every day about what the real odds are and what you're really facing. Because people see the players in the NBA and college and think, oh, if I train hard enough, I can be there. And that's true, but you also got to
Exactly.
understand other people are training just as hard as you. You're really competing for a
Yes, sir.
small number of scholarships, you know. So again, ask me questions as we go along, but I want to make sure that, you know, I give you this knowledge because if you don't have this knowledge, you really don't know the truth. Now, the NCAA gives $2.7 billion worth of athletic scholarships every year. I mean, you really got to
Okay.
understand there's 150,000 student athletes. You know, so
Yes, sir.
what you need to know about Division One gives out multiple year scholarships, right? They can pay for your bachelor's degree, your master's degree, even after you finish playing NCAA sports. So that's the difference between Division One. You know, you have 5 years to play, 4 years of eligibility, right? Being able to sit out 1 year after high school. Well, what does that mean? Many of you know about college prep schools, you know, and what I mean college prep schools, they get you ready for college. 1 year out of high school, you go to a prep school and you're preparing for college, but also preparing yourself during basketball. You're playing basketball during that time. So that should be one of your avenues that if you can't come over here
Yes, sir.
for, you know, straight to college yet, you should look into maybe prep schools because those are also ways to get there. One of the things you need to know as you go through school is to register with the NCAA Eligibility Center, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm not, some may know, some may not, but you have to be within those guidelines in order to be eligible. Division One and Two, I think it's about $90, and for Division Three, it's free. There's certain documents you need. You need to understand the eligibility requirements that you need. And I say this because many people, they train, they work, they get these connections, and then when they get to that point, they're
Yes,
not
sir.
eligible,
Yeah,
right? So you
they're not
have
eligible. Yes, sir.
to be, they're not eligible. So that's a big part of it. And there are certain different requirements that you have to meet as an international player in order to be eligible. So there's extra steps. For instance, you got to have your academic records from since you were 9 years old, right? And you got to have those translated into English if English is not your first language. You got to have proof of graduation, certificates, and those things. And again, these are things that you can go to the NCAA eligibility center and find out exactly. You got to have your ACT and SAT scores. All right.
Okay. Yes.
And you can't be ineligible through amateurism. Now, many people don't know what amateurism means, right? That means you can't have played with the pros, right?
At the professional level.
You can't have signed. Yeah, you can't sign a contract with a pro team, because I've seen kids lose their eligibility because they went to Canada or somewhere and they played for a month or so with a team that was maybe they called semi-pro or whatever it is, and they lost their amateurism, right? So we got to be you can't practice or try out with a professional team. You lose your eligibility that way, all right? You can't accept money. Of course, many of you know the stars that get in trouble for those things can't accept any money from an agent or anybody like that. Any prize money for a tournament, you lose your eligibility. All right. So think about those things, right?
Yes,
Another avenue you should look at is junior college, right? Just like we talked about prep schools, junior colleges.
Yes, sir.
Well, junior colleges serve purposes that are good, such as increasing your GPA, right? You got time to do that.
Yes, sir.
Increasing your basketball skills. Some people go to junior college for that.